Hello networkers, and welcome to New Year 2020. 2019 has been pretty busy and pretty weird for me, but I'll talk about that in a separate video episode. This episode I want to answer one of your questions for Ask the Network Engineer. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and check out all the videos in the Ask the Network Engineer series. And if you have posted questions in the comments that I have not answered, it's really important. You need to go to routhub.net/ANE. That is where I'll be looking at all the questions that I will be answering for future episodes for the channel. So it's really important. Go to routhub.net/ANE and you can vote on the top questions that people are posting about, and you can post your own questions. So definitely do that. Okay, so in this particular episode, I want to answer a question that was posted on the poll, and that question is, in this day and age, is it better to be a specialist or a generalist in regard to networking and security? And this is a really good question because things have changed in regards to networking or as network engineers. So very quickly, let's talk about just definitions. That when you are a specialist, that means that you're focused on one particular area in the networking field. That means you're doing only security, you're doing only voice, you're doing only cloud computing, you're doing a particular function as a network engineer. Where a generalist is a person that does a lot of all of those areas, but they don't go into the advanced aspects of it or the nitty-gritty details of those particular fields. And times have really changed to the point where my answer to that is really both. It's a hybrid of both of those, being a specialist and being a generalist. Whereas a network engineer, knowing a lot, having a lot of strong, valuable skills is really, really important. Because what you really want to do, and what I've been talking a lot about, is you want to make your skill set, your portfolio very, very valuable, very, very strong. And when we look at specialists, I actually have a lot of colleagues of mine, friends of mine that have specialized in different areas. Some people I know, they specialize with voice. I have a friend that specializes with IPv6. Interesting. Someone who specializes with storage. A very good friend of mine that got into that. Another person that specializes with Microsoft Exchange. And here's some of the pros and cons with that when you are specializing with something. Is you need to be aware of the trends and if that particular specialty could start to be displaced. So for Exchange, everything is about Office 365. That is, there is such a big movement for 365, pushing things up to the cloud, that the need for having an in-house Exchange server is basically a thing of the past. So my friend who is a Exchange specialist, they have been impacted by that. So they have to look for opportunities, because when you're a specialist, that's something you will find in very, very large companies. Because large companies have big infrastructures, so they require particular people to do certain parts of that environment, like a network design architect. That's all they do. They do design work. You're going to see that in very large environments. But with a generalist, you'll find that in small, SMB, medium, even some large size networks, because having a specialty isn't something that is really required. It just simply isn't. So having experience in how to configure routing and switching and data center and security and firewalls and voice, that will become more common. And the more work that you do, the more experience that you have, it will only more but improve your skill set, that you can become more valuable in the field anyway. And when you look at particular positions out there, a lot of positions out there, they do want you to know a lot of things. That also opens up your options, because remember, it's really about knowing what your options are. And if you're finding difficulty of trying to find work, that's because of the lack of maybe your skill set, that there isn't a particular skill that somebody may want to hire you for. So if you have a hybrid of these things, that you know a lot of many things, even up to some advanced levels, it makes you very, very in a good position. So my final point is this: when you are starting out, it's just important to have the foundation. The foundation is critical. You got to know the foundation, which is routing and switching, which is what the ccna is really about. If you do not have the foundation, then you should not be trying to be a generalist. Once you get the foundation worked out, then focus on what is the top major areas and figure out which ones they are, which I talked about a lot in this on this channel, like data center, security, cloud computing, which is a component of data center networking, programmability, things like that. Those are like hot areas, and you should start focusing your skills in those areas and being advanced or specialized in many of those kind of areas. So when you're looking for jobs, then you can start looking at much more options than you were before. Because if you're just a voice engineer, your options are very, very limited. If you have voice and you have networking experience and security experience, it opens a bigger window for you to explore. Now, there's nothing wrong that you may say, I'm a specialist in security. So I know a lot about security. I know how to configure firewalls for all of the major advanced features out there. But I am a generalist in other areas as well. So I know routing and switching, great. I can deploy a wireless network, that's no big deal. I can deploy a data center network in some of those Cisco DCI technologies. I can do fabric path, I can do VXLAN, EVPNs, things like that. I can do all of that. And that's probably, again, that's the hybrid. You want to have really a hybrid of those two things, a generalist and being a specialist. But definitely being strong in one particular area that is an interest for you, and hopefully it is something that is valuable and what people want to hire you for. And that is it with this episode. So if you have a question about being a network engineer or anything in the networking field, go to rodhub.net/ANE and post your questions there, and those questions will come up in a future episode on this channel. You can also vote on the current questions, on which questions that you would like to see me answer in future episodes. Your feedback is important to know what questions interest you for me to answer as a network engineer. You can also support this channel by going to rodhub.net. We have a lot of great training courses for SD-WAN, for security, for networking, many great practical training that you can check out on our website. And until next time, as always, keep networking.